Ooh. I'm going to skip the queue to take this question from Super Deluxe. I think it's really fun. Super Deluxe asks, is it possible to make a paper airplane so heavy that you have to register it with the FAA? So Super Deluxe, the FAA defines an SUAS, a small unmanned aerial system. By definition, it's unmanned. So if you were riding a human in this paper airplane, then it would not have to be registered. It would be treated as a manned aircraft, and that would be some other regulation. I don't know what it would be. But the other thing, and this goes back to some people say, what about if I have a kite? What about if I have a balloon? What if I have a football? I throw a football and the FAA wants me to register it. One of the other requirements is that the SUAS be powered. And a paper airplane, no matter what its weight would never be powered. Well, okay, let's play with that assumption. So if it's not powered, then the FAA doesn't care about it. At least not under the drone regulations. What if we... Go ahead, Blunty.
Is that true? That's not true.
Is that not true?
Nope. Control surface, not power.
Really?
So, yes.
Really?
An aircraft operated without the possibility of direct human intervention from within or on the aircraft. My understanding is power is not a requirement. It's just if you can control the aircraft with surfaces outside of the aircraft. So if you put like a little machine to control the surfaces... I know that it has
to be controlled. You saying it doesn't have to be powered?
That's my understanding, yeah.
You're probably right. I mean, you are a part of the FPV Freedom Coalition. I thought it had to be powered. Okay, so that's where I was going next. Let's say you power the airplane, okay, the paper airplane. The key thing it has to be is that it has to be controlled, and you're not remote controlling the airplane. It is sort of free-flying, and so it would never be an SUAS. I'm going to look that up.
Crafted Quads mentions a kite, and a kite is not because there's special rules for tethering.
Correct. It's untethered. Okay. Here we got something. Advisory circular. Definitions and abbreviations. Control station. Oh, here we go. Oh, we're going to get it. Small unmanned aircraft. We're going to find out that Blunty was right.
I read you the definition from 428 just down there.
Weighing less than 55 pounds, including everything that can be flown without the possibility of drag. That's it. That's all they say. An aircraft operated without the possibility. What's the definition of an aircraft, though? No. Aha. That's why I said powered. Aha. So an unmanned aircraft is an aircraft operated without, but an aircraft is capable of sustained flight in the atmosphere. And that's where I get powered from. So the correct term is sustained flight. A paper airplane would not be capable of sustained flight. So my interpretation is that SUAS...
I would argue that wings mean sustained flight, but I would be interested to know how that is defined.
Interesting. So I would say that that's where I got that from. So I'm glad to know that I didn't just pull it out of my ass. But I was misspeaking by saying powered.
I've certainly been wrong before, but...
Yeah. An unmanned aircraft system implies an aircraft. You probably agree about that. You're debating whether a paper airplane is capable of sustained flight. I mean...
Right.
Unless you're in a tornado, I think, and no one... I don't know,
well, what I'm saying is, if it didn't have wings, it wouldn't be sustained, right? It would just fall. But if it has wings, then it provides a sustained flight over a distance. That would be where I'm coming.
It's tough because you could make the argument that a paper airplane, you throw it, it glides, it's not sustained flight. You could make the argument that in the right wind conditions, it would, like if you flew it in a tornado, it would fly for sustained flight. But then so do a lot of things in a tornado. And you could also make the argument that full-scale airplanes run out of gas and have to land. So what's the definition of sustained flight? Ooh, is it in the definitions?
They're really bad about this stuff. It might be in another bylaw somewhere.
Yeah, now we need to know the definition of sustained flight. Part 101. Sustained flight in the atmosphere.
I'll find out later, but I'm not sure.
I want to know. I love this rules lawyering stuff, but not as much as you do, because you do it full-time not full-time, but for the FPV Freedom Coalition. Sustained flight. I don't think they're going to define sustained flight.
Yeah, that's either one of those lawyer-defined things when you get into an argument about it, or it's defined in some other bylaw somewhere. But I'm not. Yeah.
They got a definition of sustained flight for drones over people, but not
What's
a
that 14
general
CFR
definition.
1.1 right there? There's general definitions.
Where do you see that? Here?
Right there. Yeah. And look for sustained flight.
No. Mm-mm.
Okay, it was pulling something else.
Yeah. All right, Blunty, you don't have to do this during the stream. I don't really care if we come back to it. But I think I would be interested to know if the FAA has ever defined sustained flight. Like, my 5-inch freestyle drone can fly for 2 minutes and then... Okay, so let's infer. Let's lawyer this out, Blunty. Clearly, my 5-inch freestyle drone is an SUAS per the FAA. They would consider it an SUAS. Nobody would debate that, right?
Yes.
My 5-inch freestyle drone flies for 2 minutes, and then the battery's empty and I have to land. So clearly, sustained flight is less than 2 minutes. Otherwise, whatever my freestyle drone is doing is sustained flight.
Right. I mean, but then we could say a freestyle drone could have a battery so small it could fly for 5 seconds. We'd still consider an SUAS.
So what is it? Is it the potential?
That's why I think it's wings. That's where that's kind of.
And I would say, okay, and here's where we're going to part ways, and then we'll move on.
Yeah.
I would say that wings without power have an inherent limitation, at least in the SUAS. I mean, but that's not true because Blunty, maybe we won't part ways. Does the FAA consider a hand-launched glider to be an SUAS?
I don't remember. I think there might be rules about that.
Fuck. Because a hand-launched glider can ride thermals all day and it has no power source. You might be right. People are linking me to the definition of sustained flight in the context of the operations over human beings. But that's sustained flight over an open air assembly. I think it's a little different.
Yeah, that's not what we need. Yeah, no. Totally different thing.
All right, we're just jerking off now, so we're gonna move on. That was fun. Thank you, Plenty.
Yeah.
Paper airplane is not remote controlled, therefore is not an SUAS, and neither is a football. A football is not capable of sustained flight.
Nor is it also can't be controlled from the ground.
Correct.